Hello everyone, I'm Parker with Learnon. Kate and GW, I enjoyed your last two videos. They were great. I learned quite a bit as always. My video for you guys today comes in two parts. The first part was actually a request from one of our viewers. So if anyone is watching this video and you have a good idea for a video, please subscribe, like our videos, and then you can even leave comments and requests or whatever you want to say. It'd be great. The request for the first part of this video came from one of our viewers in South Texas. They live close to the beach and the ocean, and they're just wondering about manholes because they don't have a lot of manholes down there. And they're just wondering because you see manholes in movies and cartoons, you know, men falling down them, monsters crawling up, or just like the steam coming out of it in the morning. So they're just wondering, what are they really used for? And so the answer to that is they give access to the underground utility vault. Now, the utility vault is an underground room that provides access to public utility equipment such as valves for water or natural gas pipes or switch gears for electrical or telecommunications equipment, electricity, storm drains. So pretty much everything that lets the city run smoothly is found under the city, and so the manhole gives access to the utility vault where you can do repairs and maintenance and add new lines in. An interesting fact is that the manhole cover is also known as a biscuit, so that's pretty neat. The biscuit is so if the biscuit's missing, that's when the man falls down the hole. I couldn't find any statistics on the number of people that fall down manholes yearly, but I did find out that manholes can be dangerous other than just falling down them. In 2004, a lady named Jody S. Lane was walking her dog in New York City. She stepped on a metal manhole cover and was electrocuted due to stray voltage through there. They've taken measures to prevent this since that occurrence, but I wouldn't really be stepping on manhole covers. The last interesting fact I have is that in the city of Sacramento, California, in 1990, they officially renamed all their manholes to the name maintenance holes out of concern for gender equality. Evidently, there were some women that were offended by that, the manholes. The name maintenance hole was selected because the term shares the same initials as manholes, and thereby eliminating the need for the city to change all the MH labels on its utility maps. In the second part of my video, I'm going to be talking about mermaids and mermen. I said merman, not Mormon. That's better. Everybody knows what a mermaid is, so I can skip the description, but I found it really interesting that mermaids are presented in pretty much every culture around the world. The first known mermaid story appears all the way back in Assyria in 1000 BCE. The story goes that one of the goddesses falls in love with a shepherd and then somehow accidentally kills him. Due to depression, agony, and shame, the goddess tries to hide herself in the lake, but the waters could not contain the power of her beauty because, well, she was a looker. So instead it transforms her into half fish. I don't understand that part really. But she becomes the first mermaid to appear in literature, but certainly not the last. Greek mythology has stories of sirens which are pretty much mermaids, except not the type of mermaids that we think of today, like Ariel and the Little Mermaid, except they do both have beautiful voices. The Greek stories of sirens the sirens use their beauty and charm to lure the sailors to their death by singing or other types of seduction, which is just really, really scary. The collection 1001 Nights includes several tales of sea people. However, these sea people are not half human, half fish, but they are identical to humans, except they have the ability to breathe and live underwater. Do not try to breathe underwater, children, or adults, or anyone. Just don't try to breathe underwater. Doesn't work out well. The Brits have their tales of mermaids too. They were known as being unlucky omens. The mermaids would come and tell the sailors that they would never see land again, and then rough weather or a shipwreck or something would happen. Not a shipwreck, because of a shipwreck they would see land. Rough weather would come and they would sink, and it would just kill everyone on board. But don't ask me why, how those stories survived if everyone died at sea. Yeah. However, some British mermaids were like huge, like up to 2,000 feet long. That's a big girl. That's pretty monstrous. Really scary. However, not all stories of mermaids were really scary and deathly and just trying to kill sailors. Occasionally they would have a story where the mermaid was really beneficial and would even teach humans cures for diseases. The vast majority of stories about mer people are of mermaids, because mermen were noted wilder and much uglier than mermaids, and they had described as having little interest in humans, so they just kind of chilled and did their own thing. The Chinese have tales of mermaids whose tears turned to priceless pearls, and the mermaids were able to weave beautiful, valuable material, some sort of silk type material. So of course the fishermen were always trying to catch them for the riches, but the singing of the mermaids would always put the fishermen in comas and sometimes even kill them. The Scandinavians, as I am a proud Norwegian, have a story that is perhaps the most famous. The Little Mermaid, of course, is a story about a mermaid who is 15 years old and really curious and wanted to know about the world above and on land and what it's like to walk and to dance and all that stuff. And we all know that story pretty well, except maybe not the true ending. According to the tale, the North Scandinavian tale, at the end she jumps into the ocean and turns to foam, which isn't quite as happy as the ending with the sunset and everything. Like I mentioned earlier, mermaids appear in pretty much every culture around the world. I've already mentioned several, but the tales continue in West and Central Africa, Ireland, Scotland, Russia, Ukraine, Brazil, Greece, Japan. The list just goes on. So how do all these cultures have so many similarities in their stories of mermaids? The beautiful singing creatures that result in death. It can't be a coincidence. These creatures must really exist. There have been several claimed sightings of dead or living mermaids from all over the world, all different times. There's 2 Canadian reports in the area of Vancouver and Victoria. One sometime in the 1870 to 1890s, and the other was in 1967. Sail logs of the notorious pirate Blackbeard shows that he instructed his crew to steer around enchanted waters, which contained mermaids that they had seen before. Now, Blackbeard is no sissy. Look at him. These mermaids must have been pretty dangerous to have scared. In 2009, a town in Israel had so many sightings of a mermaid jumping and doing tricks that the town actually offered a $1 million prize to anyone who could prove the existence of a mermaid. Now, the prize has not been awarded yet, so do these creatures really exist? There are a few explanations of mermaids. And for centuries in Japan and other Pacific Island countries, females would swim nude in search for shellfish. These women would strengthen themselves so much that they could breathe underwater. I'm just kidding. Don't try to breathe underwater, please. They couldn't breathe underwater, but they could hold their breath for several minutes, and they got used to swimming in extremely cold temperatures. So after holding their breath for several minutes underwater, when the divers returned to the surface, they had to hyperventilate to restore the oxygen levels in their body, and they would do this by sighing or making loud noises. In between the dives, the women would sing loudly to maintain their lung capacity, and this could be the origin of the siren myth of the singing. So when sailors would come across these women divers who were swimming in extremely cold temperatures and singing and shrieking and holding their breath at long periods of times, that these men thought there was something unhuman about them. In addition to all this, there was laws in some villages that were against the women diving for shellfish. So the village people would encourage these siren and mermaid myths to protect the divers, since it was against the law. Another explanation is that there are aquatic mammals such as manatees that sailors would think were mermaids and referred to them as mermaids. This is most likely what Columbus saw when he was sailing and he reported sightings of mermaids. He said that the mermaids were not as beautiful as the stories portrayed. You think? They're nicknamed sea cows for a reason. Almost all the mermaid bodies in museums from the 1800s are said to be fakes that were trying to make money. However, at the Egmore Museum, a legitimate museum, there's a mermaid that is under tight security. So why would there be so much security if it was fake? I hope you enjoyed my video, and if nothing else, I hope that you learn to be careful around manholes, not to trust deadly mermaids, and not to try to breathe underwater. Learn on.